We've got entirely too many troublemakers here. I'm telling you straight. It's my way or the highway. So anybody wants to walk, do it now.
Hi, everybody. Hold on. So, I keep seeing that the audio is weird coming out to you guys. I'm not quite sure what I've caught, because I'm always chasing this down. Does this audio sound okay? Does this mic sound fine? And if so, then I just know I have some tweaking to do before the afternoon show. Good morning. Welcome to HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide, where it's, whereas Rosanna Dana would say, it's always something. Hopefully, let's see, checking in with you guys. Let me speed forward into the chat so I can see you. We can hear you fine. It's all good. Excellent. Okay, as long as that sounds fine, then the issue is elsewhere, and I will have to find whatever the solution for that is. So, because Biden in Ohio, New Albany soon, yeah. Just the music was wonky? Good. Okay, well, if the music's wonky, then the audio from clips later would be wonky. So that's what I have to chase down, which is fine, because most of the time in the mornings, we're just looking at the trends. And this morning, obviously, the biggest trend is Disney Plus. No, the biggest trend is, of course, the story around the Queen. The Queen is dead, long live the King. And she her passing has set off exactly what you would expect in the UK. It is a transitional time of of mourning, and there's a lot of British guys in tan coats coming out and trying to, stay the course and speak very solemnly and very calmly about what's happened. And we'll just all have to do. We'll just have to make do. It's just what we, in the words of the Queen, we have to keep calm and carry on. And that's that's what we'll do. Thanks, William. I am indeed still in Washington, D.C. Today's show will be just an hour, if that's all right with you guys. And as I've got a bit of out and about to do today, and at some point we're going to go by the British Embassy and drop off some flowers. Because in the words of Bruce, the Australian philosopher, the Queen's a good Sheila and she's not at all stuck up. So we're going to go pay some respects. Yes, stiff upper lip and all that, as a child of Britain in so many ways, being that I'm got a tremendous amount of English and Irish in Scottish in me. It only seems appropriate that we go down there and do that. So that's what we're doing today. I hope that's right with you guys. Let me sit here in the comfort of my hotel swivel chair, which is it wants to topple every time if I sit anything but it starts to teeter. I'm up the alley with Hal. What's yourself, dragon? Did he pick King George III? No, he will be King Charles III. The third Charles on the throne of those that matter, I suppose. I guess he's lucky that way, because if he had been, there's a bunch of Williams. There's been very few Harrys, although there's been a lot of princes. As a matter of fact, HAL means prince in Old English, and it's partly where my name comes from. I'm directly named after High Order Assembly Language. That's what my name is actually short for. But as a regular name, it's Prince Hal was the way of saying like Henry before he became King Henry. The king formerly known as Prince. Yes. Usually think of Charles as being French. Yes, that's true, as in de Gaulle. But yes, and that's why there's so few of them. There are more German names on the king, something like that. Georges is also a French name in its roots. English as a language comes via two roots. It is a non-inflected Indo-European language. And it comes through French and German. And the way you can decide where the words come from is that all the pretty words come from French and all the ugly words come from German. The old joke being that poop is French, shit is German. That's where you can trace them. That if there's a word that sounds kind of like crusty and aggravating to say, probably has Germanic roots. And if there's one that rolls trippingly off the tongue, it's French. Here, by the way, is the footage you guys have been seeing all morning of Charles shaking hands. Beg your pardon. With people outside. I was up late last night. Let's say my meal yesterday did not agree with me, and it was not pleasant. Love Germanic words, but then I am a Beowulf freak. Well, that'll do it, Kath. He's visiting the flowers left for mother, because to the world she's the queen. To him, she's the queen mum. She's his mother, and that's just gonna grow and grow and grow and grow. I mean, some people have been talking about, by the way, as someone who's not pro monarchy, my recommendation to the British people is: do not try to be the United States. You never will be. even the EU, everyone tries to throw United on the end and tries to be what the United States is. The United States is a very special country, and and to maintain it, it's an ugly process because it's where everybody unites under a common cause of democracy. Not every country is built that way, and especially largely racially homogenous countries can't do it because your tribal breakups are all internal, no matter what you do. There is an upside to having the sense of other being someone who might look or act or have a different religion, as opposed to the sort of internal strife of civil wars all the time. And so the umbrella of the United States is, again, America doesn't show up on anybody's 23andMe. And that's the greatness of it. We are a democracy. We are a federal republic with a democratic structure. They aren't. They have democratic elements to get in terms of parliament and their prime minister, but they are under a monarchy. There's a monarch on their money. It's going to shift soon. All that stuff. And hold on, somebody was saying something in the chat. One was in here. Where was it? Not a fan of Charles, but he will be a good king. The Queen actually is of German lineage. Yeah, Windsor was a made-up name. Her life was during World War II before she was ever queen, right? But it's what shaped her. Why else does everyone want to live here? Yeah, that's exactly it. But what I will say, 2001, that's a hillbilly dialect, half Virginia, half Kentucky. Yes, Hal, you're right. The United States is built and founded by lies, slavery, and racism, the most corrupt country. Hi, Kabil, you're ridiculous. Shoo. We fought a war internally to end slavery, which is and the right side won. Other countries had to have it imposed without from the United States and the UK eventually, and without that external force, it would still exist to this day. If you want it to continue, that's on you. That said, the United States itself is a very specific country in that everyone, whatever your culture may be from where you come from, the unifying culture is one around democracy. Is one person, one vote. Democracy. That's the essence of and rule of law. And those two elements are the unifying culture for the people that are here or that come here, immigrants that come here especially. Yes, Britain outlawed slavery in 1836. They sank Dutch ships to stop it. So anyways, long story short, there's a lot of talk about paring down the monarchy in the UK and making it kind of like a side note to British life. And my feeling on that, quite frankly, as an outsider who's not a fan of monarchy, is that if you're not going to end it entirely, then go big, for God's sakes, since it is about pomp and circumstance, and it is a unifying thing for the public under sort of a grandiose sense of purpose and importance. Better to go with it. It's like, to me, that would be like paring down the Vatican. You know what I mean? Let's take the Vatican and turn it into an app. It doesn't work. So is Charles' wife the queen now? No. She's the queen consort, meaning she is his queen, but not their queen. If that explains it. Does that make sense? He is the queen of the king, but if he goes, she is not in line for the throne. She will not be queen. William will be. So yeah, if you're going to keep the monarchy, go big or go home. Make the palace a hotel. It's disgusting. Don't do that. It's silly. Yeah, she's not a successor to the throne. Queen consort sounds sorted. It kind of does, I will say. I mean, the first three letters in consort and concubine, there's a little, I get where that would kind of feel like weirdly overlap, you know? But anyways, again, I am not for monarchy in any sense. But if you're going to have it, it should stand as a quality bearer for the extraordinary nature of life. Something that people could, like, in theory, aspire to some level of grandiosity. Yeah, Philip was Prince consort. That's exactly right. Who wants to live forever? I mean, honestly, yeah, it's a beacon of hope. It should be, and a guiding, unifying thing. If it starts to lose its luster, it's stupid. Yesterday we were in the National Archives here in D.C., and there are some who think that the grandiosity of these buildings in D.C. especially are overbearing and, big and kind of, they're unnecessary. But in reality, human beings tend not to tear down things that took a long time to build. They check themselves before they wreck themselves, as it were. And that's a good thing. It's not an accident that temples started being built out of giant stone and stuff. It wasn't just to pat themselves on the back for having the biggest thing. It was also the biggest building and the biggest structures, or to show off. It was a cultural thing that kept people from just destroying what little system they had. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason why, people have, if you check people, they have more faith in their bank if it's in a giant marble building than if it's in a strip mall. And there may be no material difference behind the scenes, but it means something to them. There's a reason why old banks especially look like temples or look like castles to some degree. Some of us want to wreak havoc. That's true. But you have to gather people together to help you do it. And the more you kind of look down on the systems themselves, the more kind of generic they become. There were, maybe 3,000 to 5,000 people that attacked the Capitol, for example. Had it been a lesser space, more like an office building, less grandiose, once they got in there, the chances of them tearing it apart would have been much higher. It's just how it works. You don't have to like it. That's how humans are. We can be awed by grand things. We really can. And part of the preservation of a functioning system is that, all right, we've all been coming to this one spot for church or whatever for a long time. Let's build a nicer building, because every so often the marauders show up, and it's got to be able to withstand what they're doing. And also, they've got to know that we take this seriously. If all we do is put some sticks in the ground and sit in the middle of it, they're not going to if we're not going to take it seriously, why will they take it seriously? So that's part of it, right? That's that's the essence of why you eventually do want to build. You want to get to a society where the architecture, the imagery of the space that you're in is something that has a level of permanence to it, not just because not only because it's reliable for you. You don't want to, go downtown to work and wonder if your office is blown away. Humans got tired of that. Yes, Notre Dame is a great example of that. Great list in this sceptral history of the UK from the arrival of Julius Caesar, World War II. Loretta, is that the sceptral? Is that a podcast or is it an audiobook? I'm curious. Anyways, in the morning show, we talk more philosophically about these kind of things. And I think it's valuable to have these discussions and talk about stuff that, because I think in modern life, especially, so much of what we experience, especially technologically, is temporary, that what you're going to see, I predict, will be a desire for permanence that will rival stuff that happened centuries ago again. And it'll be a beautiful thing to watch, I think, because again, if you take your society seriously in the present, yes, optimistic stoicism, that you don't just build stuff so that you can get, we're not building tents for every endeavor that we have. There's a sense that if you're working on something, it's worthwhile and you plan to carry on. Audiobook, excellent. Thank you, Loretta. I'll look it up. This scepter dial. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Yes, that's true, but it helps if two beholders in a row can see the same thing, and that's why the permanent things. I'll go visit the Mormon temple while in D.C. It's amazing in Kensington, Maryland. Okay. They are time capsules, right? Yeah, being pleasant's a good idea. And again, this is why I use, that's why humor is so important to me in our discourse about politics, is because no matter how serious the moment, humor is in and of itself an acceptance and a prediction and an intent that we will get through this and on to better things. That once you stop being able to laugh about something, or laugh about how, in all honesty, how people deal with those somethings, you can, how do I put this? If you accept that there's something funny about our inability to deal with changes as they come and our adaptive process, then the idea is that we are adapting towards something greater. If you don't, if things freeze in a seriousness, and they aren't, by the way, a distinct emergency like a wolf at the door, a hurricane outside, something that is momentarily serious, if they are beyond the 17 seconds of any honest emotion, because your emotions only technically last 17 seconds unless you reinforce them with another thought that keeps the emotion going. Humor is the best medicine. Yeah, but I wouldn't do surgery with it. Never trust a laughing surgeon, Evelyn. I hope they have a sense of humor the rest of the time. Colonization has been at an all-time low since she wore the crown. Certainly in the Western world, that's true. We've seen the rise of Russian and Chinese colonization during that time, though. That's the interesting thing. It seems, and Putin's idea that if you're not an imperial country, you are a colony, is the mentality of both his country and of China's right now, and will. Monty Python made surgery pretty funny, but it wasn't real surgery, Dragon. Too many new school buildings look like factories or prisons or office spaces. I agree. There's something about going to a school that makes it a distinctly different architectural building than where you go for work, or even if you work from home. Hal got a crown? No, but I do have 4 royal crests in my family. Sparks, Seiler, Rowan, and Styles all have royal crests. So technically, if I wanted to, I could lead a force to take over the Isles. I just don't think it's just not interesting to me. I'd rather be voted into power than seize it. Lord Sparks, fairly close. Yes, His Majesty HAL of Sparkdom. That's right. My last name Sparks comes from Sparrowhawk, and the Sparrowhawk clan in England was the Sparks crest for my family has a lion on it with his claws both up, and he's breathing fire because my 7 grandfathers ago, 8 grandfathers ago, saved the king's life 3 times. And he was a birder. He had hawks, and he had doves and sparrowhawks. Sparrowhawks were for hunting, and hawks were for getting small game, and then just hawking around, because they would walk around and show off. And then the doves were for messaging. That was his job, and he saved the king 3 times. That's the story. Well, that's where Sparrowhawk comes from. So my last name really comes from that. It became Sparks because the English love to have words with a lot of letters in them that they just don't say. Now you look like you need sleep. I do, Tilly. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, I was up late last night. So anyways, yeah, a falconer, exactly. But the king liked in my family trees, whatever, liked the Sparrowhawks the best and referred to him as, Henry of the Sparrowhawks, because the Sparrowhawks were swift and true. And so my family crest, the Sparks crest, says Celere Veris on it, which means swift and true. You thought I thought you made up your name? No. That's my real name. Hal Sparks is my real name. My family crest is a warthog chained to a tree. That's impressive, Donna. I don't even... It sounds like a crest you would get in a video game. It's like one of the badges you get for being amazing at Call of Duty. Are you related to the Chicken Hawks? No, I am not. We are totally different people. It's your galaxy. You just live in it. That's right. My family is a sept of the Robertson clan. Cool. Family lore has it my ancestor came from Brittany on the invading Norman fleet with William the Conqueror in 1066. He was a war with Devon and Cornwall on his dukedoms. It may be true. That's cool. Jabbermonkey. I mean, it's beautiful to go and see that kind of stuff. My family lineage goes straight through Roswell, Rosalind Temple in England. So I think Fowler's in England. Probably. It sounds like, yes, we come from a long line. The Fowlers are wonderful. They'll take anything you've got and they make it nasty. Just kidding. Oh, it's Jimmy the Fowler. Like, you make him sleep. If you let him sleep on your couch, it's going to be foul in the morning. I don't want the Fowlers. By the way, don't forget to subscribe. I forget to mention this. We're almost at 40K. You can do it. Especially if you're a troll. If you roll by just to be a sourpuss because your dude lost and my dude won, at least you can do is give a thumbs down and subscribe just so, and you don't have to hit the notification bell. Please, whatever you do not hit the notification bell. I'm on when I'm on. You can find me at your leisure. You do not need some sort of like inbox thing to tell you when I'm on. I have a schedule for a reason. Matter of fact, I started my show being on a regular schedule instead of just posting videos and doing live streams, partly because the idea of people having a notification bell where your phone blows up like, he's on, seems just so egomaniacal and Kardashian. It's just ridiculous. Yes, 40,000 by Hal's birthday. It can be done. Tomorrow night's the show here in DC. Very exciting. And today, like I said, we are going to, you'll have your HAL notification. Well, thanks, Water Goddess. I appreciate that. And Twitch, it's different, obviously. And if you're on Twitch, subscribe. If you have Amazon Prime, it doesn't cost you a dime. We have these kind of conversations about this. There was a double rainbow. I mean, this kind of stuff is kind of, it's the thing of lore, but it's interesting when there's modern, high quality pictures of it. You hear stories in the past of, thunderstorms and when someone dies and that kind of stuff, which I'm a big believer in those kind of things. I think the ionosphere shifts around the passing of a soul because, I mean, you can even if you just think it's the physics of the darn thing, some souls, because of the attention put to them and the electrical impulses around people's attention shifts all at once, it could absolutely affect the environment around a large group of people. There's no reason why not. We just don't have a measure that can measure it. That's all. We don't have a gauge that can measure it. That said, there was a double rainbow over Buckingham Palace when she passed. Those EIR symbols are everything. They all have to be replaced. Sorry, your Irish ancestor. It's my island. Do not forget. Seen a near perfect circle. It was trippy, and the sun was way down the. It's kind of a beautiful thing. Hal had a schedule once. I'll opt for the Twitch notification. I see. Easy, Carl. It rotates sometimes, but most of the time I am locked in. That said, obviously, as I tour more and more, there will be days when it's maybe useful, but I'll try and just tell you about it. Yeah, who else? Who's here in DC who's going to be at the show? Let me know. Oh, the Breitbart film, My Son Hunter. Thoughts, Carl? I would love to do a blow by blow of it, and do the whole movie if I can, because to me it's the same as any of Mike Lindell's crap. So I view it in the same kind of ilk. The interesting thing that they make a docudrama of it, and there are multiple scenes in it that never happened, and yet they're like trying to build this narrative, I think points to how desperate that side is. I want to see how, because we've all watched, as I've gone through it, all the John Paul McIsaac interviews around the alleged tracking of the laptop as it came in and where it went and all that stuff, which is all garbage. It's beautiful garbage. Especially the bowling interview he did just recently. I think what I might do when I hit like 40,000, maybe let's do it at 50,000, because it's going to be, there'll be more stuff between that, and I'm hoping to do that by the end of the year if people subscribe. At 50,000, I want to do a special on the fact that the Hunter Biden laptop doesn't exist, and I want to go through all of John Paul McIsaac's interviews and show everybody, instead of it, because I've done it in multiple videos over time with live streams when they've come up, do it all in one thing where I break down all the lies about the pathway, where the story, all at once. I think that would be great. So yeah, the hot potato laptop. Yeah, Liz, I think it needs to be done. His story has changed so many times; it's just terrible. And again, I find the most ironic thing. I mean, there's a lot that's ironic about that whole story. The most being is that he thinks that the reason he's lost business is because of people thinking he's a Russian stooge or blah, blah, blah. The reason he's lost business is because I don't know anybody who takes a piece of electronic gear that they, especially something complicated they may not fully understand, that needs repairs, that doesn't take it to an Apple store and just get it fixed, that would take it to a shop where if you forget about it at a certain point, he's just going to start looking through it. It was just mine after a while, so I just started looking. It stuck out to me. Like, get out of here. Would you do a laptop takedown extemporaneously or scripted if you were doing it as a production? I would do it I wouldn't do it scripted, but I would edit together all the stuff. I would kind of speak extemporaneously and then cut the whole thing down to a half hour. You know what I mean? Because I think that's how you do it. Because there's so much to it. I would have to go through the whole thing, bring up each detail, talk for a minute, kind of get the thought together around it, because it would be semi-scripted, as it were. Is Warnock really losing it? No, he is not. Orange Fox started their Reclaim Party against wokeism, ran for mayor, failed, sucked it up alt-right to get him film as get the film part as Hunter. There were no roles for him. He posted a swastika on Facebook. Good Lord. Ugh. Anyway, so there's the king, and that's the king. Yeah, that's the king. And by the way, if we had a king, he would look like John Kerry. I'm just saying. John Kerry just needs to bite the bullet and grow a Lincoln beard. At this point, for real. I'm just telling you. John Kerry, grow a Lincoln beard. No one will think you're Amish. Everyone will think, oh my God, he's come back to life. Seriously, John Kerry looks, yeah, he's definitely has a Daniel Day-Lewis Lincoln look. He totally does. We saw Lincoln's life mask yesterday, and we saw the room where he passed away. We saw the room where Mary sat and wept. The doctors, she was freaking out so much that the doctor banished her from the death room because she was, they were trying to save his life, and she was, wailing and screaming so much they couldn't talk. And it looked basically like this, but with a beard. Did you see his ghost? We did not see his ghost. Although he might have been there, it would have been too tall for me to spot. We would have been looking, we're diminutive compared to him. We did see his coat. We also saw, and this is, a lot of people know about John Wilkes Booth, but Booth was, part of an April 14th gang of people who were planning on murdering the entire functioning administrative state of the United States. They were, was it Rathbone? I'm going to blitz on the names, but a general who was sitting with Lincoln, Booth didn't just shoot Lincoln and jump off the thing. He shot Lincoln and then he only had a one-shot gun, of course, back then. And so he stabbed the general that was there and then jumped. That guy survived, but he was bleeding so profusely that as they helped Lincoln into the bed across the street, because there was no hospital nearby, they needed a bed to put Lincoln in to try and treat him. There was a boarding house across the street, and that's part of the museum here, that if you carry him, they carried him into there. Rathbone passed out in the doorway from blood loss. And then they eventually treated him and he survived. There was a doctor there as well. Yeah, Booth and this guy, Powell, who went by the name Payne, stabbed the Secretary of State in the face and neck the same day. And the Secretary of State had been injured in a horse riding accident, a carriage accident, and he was wearing a brace around his head, and that saved his life. Because the knife, it was a Bowie knife, and somebody, he came there to shoot him, but the Secretary of State's son was there, interrupted him on the stairs. The gun misfired, so Powell hit the Secretary of State's head, hit him on the head with a gun. He basically pistol whipped him, knocked him out. And then when he went in there, since his gun didn't work and he was in a frantic hurry to kill this guy and get the hell out, he stabbed him in the face. And I think he was trying to basically stab his chest, but this whole rig was holding his head up because it's not like these refined neck braces we have now. They had to build a thing around him. So he went to stab him, probably the way he was sitting, and hit him in the cheek, in the face, and then in the neck. But it was just, they were all flesh wounds largely, but he was bleeding a lot, so he thought he was going to die, and he fucked off and ran away. It's an amazing story. And then they all met for the conspiracy at this woman's boarding house. And as they came looking for Booth and these other folks, they, all of them, had come there and planned the whole thing out, and then scattered, and then they would get they would leave weapons there and pick them up later. It was basically like this way station for the plot itself. And in the process of her allowing that to happen, they obviously traced a couple of them back because they were staying there at that boarding house. They went to her. No, her name, Mudd was the doctor who treated Booth. Edward Mudd, was the doctor that treated. He fixed Booth's broken leg. And I don't know, it wasn't really clear in there if he broke his leg jumping down or he broke it riding the horse and hiding or some other thing. But Mud treated his broken leg, and that's where your name is Mud around here. That's where that came from. Some of you may only know it from the Primus song, but anyways, yes, Surratt's, Mary Surratt's, that's exactly right. So Surratt's pretended that she didn't know any of them, and she swore in the name of Jesus that she didn't know any of these folks and she'd never met any of them. And then of course she was part of the plot. Of course she was, and she was helping them, and they strung her up. They have a piece of rope from 4 of them that were hung. They in the museum. They have a piece of rope from the rope that hung them. And then Booth wouldn't come out of the barn, and he was hiding in there with one of his fellow saboteurs, and that guy surrendered, but Booth wouldn't come out. And then the idea is that he shot himself in the neck. They don't know if somebody, they don't say in there whether he shot himself or they shot him through a hole in the thing, but he wouldn't come out of the thing. They set the barn on fire. So more than likely, somebody put a barrel through and shot him through there. Yeah, orders were not to kill Booth. They wanted to take him, right? Because they thought there were even more people involved, and they thought he was the ringleader. So they wanted, if anybody could be kind of, tortured into telling everybody that was involved, it would be him. Yeah, Private did in haste, right? Yeah, they shot. There was a little hole in the barn door. Yeah. Booth didn't escape. No. They have what's left of him. Because after somebody saw that he was shot, they put the fire out and got him. So, yes, that's right. Your name is Mud. It used to be your name is Mud around here, because it was a matter of north and south. The idea would be that in the south, the name Mud would be positive. Now, Mud said he did not know Booth, and that he was only treating a man who had come in with a broken leg and was in desperate need of medical attention. That was bullshit. He'd met Booth several times. He was the guy they were gonna go to if they needed help. He was basically the medic for them. So, yes, we love Primus. My name is Mud, not to be confused with Davidicious Abercrombie. That's long for Mud, so I've been told. Told that by this son's a bitch who lies before me, bloated, blue, and cold. I mean, the rhyme scheme in that song alone is next level. 6 times the Queen made us laugh. Oh, lovely. I think the next big phase for England will be King William. If all things go the way they will, because Charles will be king for, 15, 20 years. God knows if he might actually even abdicate early at his age. I doubt it, but, the idea is that if he lives to be her age, we're talking, 23 years, and then William the Bold will be president, listen to me, will be king for, a good 50 years at least. And that will be, yeah, William has 3 kids, so William has a line. Yeah. And that will be the turning point. It's almost like Charles will be seen as obviously he's the King of England, which is kind of a big deal, but he's going to be the placeholder for the next long line. Oh, thanks, Clara. For British pounds. Thank you. Don't forget, by the way, Super Chat's a great way to support the show, as well as stars if you're on Facebook. If you think I deserve long-suffering reward for all the trolls I've had to deal with, that's especially Facebook. That's one of the ways you can support the show. We don't exist without you, so there you go. An heir and 2 spares. That's right. Thank you so much, Water Goddess, for the Venmo support. My watch is I didn't wake it up, so I apologize if I missed that. Oh, there it is. Thank you so much. Like, I'm not gay, but $20 is $20. I know that shirt still kicks my ass. Yes, and tickle the like button if you would. That would be great. Why don't they have more realistic royalty names like George the Incompetent, Louis the Loser? Because they are notables of herald, as in Herald, that you call out the great traits. It's what the Catholic Church does with saints to some degree. It's what the Chinese Buddhist tradition does with certain like gods of different characteristics, and what they are meant to be over time, over the centuries, is something to aspire to. That the trait you can take from them. Now they've renamed some guys after the fact, and shit talked them in history, and so they have a couple of non-Lionheart names. The Brits in the chat room will know some, perhaps. But the purpose is, and I people think we get to skip history, or that we are somehow born in the modern age without the same traits of people. The human brain hasn't changed in 125,000 years in any major way. So we don't come in tabula rasa by any chance, by any sense of the imagination, but we do come in with the same sort of limitations as our ancestors did, and have to learn how to be decent, upstanding people from scratch. Thank you, Cynthia. And we have better systems for that. Thank you, Real Bill. Thank you for all you do for free speech. Well, absolutely. You guys know I'm a free speech purist. I do not believe in canceling people. If you do threats or racial epithets, shoo. But anything short of that, I want you to take your terrible idea, and I want you to express it as fully and as much detail as you possibly can, so that I can show everyone it's crap in equal detail, instead of just a game of like name calling Pong. I like a brain like Lucy's brain. That'd be nice. We'll get there eventually. The state of nootropics being what they are, give it another 10 years, I'd say. And we will, as human beings, technologically advance ourselves to the point where there's there'll be some sort of, like, I forget, what was the Equilibrium, the Christian Bale movie where everybody has to take a pill to stop their emotions because emotions are bad. That was at a certain marker. That was sort of like a reaction to Ritalin and a bunch of other things, and people numbing themselves with drugs. I think that story, kind of those true alliances of thought converge with the movie Equilibrium. But at some point in the future, there will be this pill won't take away your creativity, but it will take away your urge to murder anyone. So, thank you, TJ. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys for the super chats. Really appreciate that. It's Johnny Mnemonic. That's different. That's a plug. I mean, I like the movie Equilibrium, and I love the gun kata stuff. It's lovely, but the essence is it's based on limited understanding and limited technological advancement. I love history. My minor in college. I'm a retired LVN. That's amazing, Evelyn. Fluoride, right? That's what they always say about fluoride, but it never seemed to work. Did you notice that? They fluoridated the water, and we were all supposed to become like cattle, and we're supposed to be easily manipulated, and anybody who, and yet, I guess of the people that drink from bottled water, that would be largely city folks and people, Democrats early on, people on the left would lean towards, drinking filtered water or pH balanced water out of a bottle, whereas MAGA folks would be like, fill up the faucet, just drink it, right? So if they were going to fluoridate anyone, it would be that side, and they certainly aren't acting, how do we say, fluoridated in that regard. So I think that's funny. Liz Truss, it is interesting to me that the UK got its third female prime minister, and its first in a while. And she met the Queen, and then very shortly after they have a king. So it's this sort of paternal and maternal dynamic maintains in a different sense. Lithium is so expensive, isn't it? We need to put smart juice in our water. We're getting there. Microplastics are bad for everyone. I agree, but I also think the human system and animal systems can adapt to almost anything. It's the smaller microbes that, if it interrupts their actual physical, I mean, there's so many toxins and things in the environment that go through our system and go right out the other end, that if it shows up in bloodstreams, then we're in real trouble, and we want to stop short of that. Fluoridated people move to Florida. Right. It's the wrong kind of fluoride. Shot I got yesterday updates the firmware of my ship. Oh, good. Yes, the Omicron shot. Yes. I don't know. Didn't we all turn into zombies? We were supposed to turn into zombies. I stopped drinking the water in 1958. Well, it goes back to that. I mean, there's been a movement against drinking water since W.C. Fields. I don't drink water because fish fornicate in it, I think was his famous quote. Right. Oh, it's a 24-hour delay. Yeah, your chip will not update for 24 hours. By the way, just for the record, I am for giant, grandiose buildings, enormous architecture, huge structures, monuments. I think we should build pyramids again. I think awe-inspiring skyscrapers and that kind of stuff. I'm on the fence about skyscrapers because they narrow point the structure to the point where, unless it's the tallest, people aren't even interested. It's a little silly. They have to be beautiful and something that is like becomes a cultural standard. I would argue that the Willis Tower, the Sears Tower, and the Hancock Tower in Chicago have a unifying architectural look that defines the Chicago skyline, as does the sheared bamboo building. I forget the name of it, whatever. But and then the Bean in Millennium Park. There are elements of that kind of stuff I think helps. Can you change the looping behind you? I will. Yes, I'll change it by the show if you want. I'll find something else. I love monuments too, like the art in St. Louis. It's pretty and unusual, and I love it. I agree. I think we need more of those things because they do help. They do huge tracts of land. They do make people take their environment more seriously. How did you know that the cathedral in D.C. has a Darth Vader gargoyle? No, I did not, but we're going to go see it. That's amazing. Jesus was a Capricorn. So that's Capricorn, is it? He ate organic foods. He believed in love and peace and never wore our shoes. Oh, never wore shoes at all. He was a deity, though, and capable of being cut until the moment he was supposed to be sacrificed. So it's when you're Jesus, it's easy to walk without shoes. I'm just saying. You have any trouble setting up? Setting up here? A little bit, but I'm getting better at it. Speaking of zombies, just now started streaming The Walking Dead. Wonderfully gross. Just now? Jesus Christ. Well, you have about 6 seasons before it jumps the shark. You can also skip season 2. Also, anytime The Walking Dead comes up, I think it behooves us to remember that Gail Ann Hurd, who produces it, is one of the greatest producers in the history of Hollywood, is unsung largely by the Academy on a level that I don't even think people understand what the gifts that Gale Ann Hurd has given us, from Alien and Terminator, The Abyss. Like, it's absurd. The woman is a force for sci-fi. There is no Ripley without Gale Ann Hurd. For all the people who are like, we need more women doing stuff, I agree. But you also need to inspire a generation of women to come up and actually do it, instead of like, I suppose I should go into that because there aren't enough. That's not enough. You have to, like, if they can look at the work of Gale Ann Hurd, they might be inspired. Yeah. Inspiration, is the functional part of representation. Representation without inspiration is useless. It's a bookmark. It's a signpost. That's why, like, Michelle Obama's speech yesterday, and it was so inspiring. I hope. I can't speak for other people's inspiration. I felt it was. When we watched, Summer and I watched, you're sitting around your phone watching the unveiling of the portraits of Obama and of Barack and Michelle, and they're beautiful. And the fact that they're hanging in the White House again is an example of our country moving in the right direction with all of its ups and downs. And that it would inspire people to seek to become public servants, or to eventually be president, or to even just take the causes that the first ladies and the second gentlemen's now take on, and as their cause go, like, this person, because they were married to the president, they used their time well and they sought to do this particular thing, and I was inspired by that, so therefore education is going to be my cause célèbre in my life, or those kind of things. That, to me, is what those things should stand for. Why there is a portrait of Michelle Obama in there. We don't just put our presidents up, because the first ladies and now the second gentlemen's, when they happen, can be inspirational people in and of themselves. Time used well for the betterment of other people. That's, by the way, why I think people dwelling on any of the bad parts of American history, as if we aren't moving past them and we haven't taken steps to, dwelling on them specifically, is an attempt, I believe, to strip away that inspiration. And when you strip away people's inspiration, you replace hope with desperation. And if you don't have something to aspire to, you don't have an optimism in your goal, and if you think, humanity is dark and unsalvageable, you will behave in a very Darwinistic way towards your fellow human beings. And societies knew that. They again, humans aren't new. And a lot of the things that we kind of take for granted about ancient societies, big temples, big institutions, crowns and pomp and circumstance, and armies wearing uniforms and that kind of stuff, that didn't happen accidentally. That was decades of serious endeavoring to solve for the problems that made people's lives awful. So, that's why I think, that's why when people talk about the establishment, we hate the establishment, it's such a childish attack. And again, it's like high school rebellion. Oh, the Charles is addressing people, his address is coming on the telly, So I'll let you guys go if you want to watch that, and I will see you guys later at the regular time. That will be at 6 Eastern, because that's where I am, 3 p.m. Pacific time. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else, and I will see you guys later today. Much love. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out the door. See you later. I will feel better. Don't worry. I'll be more energetic after I can keep something down. Good times. All right. Anyways, much love. Talk to you guys soon. You're awesome, and see you soon. Okay, bye.